people. Finished the book yesterday. I finished this. This is the Bounty Trilogy. We got this at a Goodwill. So it has Mutiny on the Bounty, Men Against the Sea, and Pitcairn's Island. I'm in the middle of Men Against the Sea right now, so I'll probably be doing that video tomorrow. And I first read these books, all three of them, over 40 years ago. So I'm a bit amazed about how much I have forgotten about this. I've only finished the first one, Mutiny on the Bounty, which is the longest one. And Mutiny on the Bounty goes through, it begins with a fictional character that actually is visited by Captain Bligh and asked to come on this ship, and, it goes from there. It covers the whole voyage, it covers their time at Tahiti, and it covers them leaving Tahiti, the mutiny, them leaving with Fletcher Christian, going in search of an uninhabited island, then going back to Tahiti, the time that they spend there, which is like a year, until the HMS Pandora comes looking for them. They believe themselves to be innocent, so they paddle out to the Pandora, where they're taken prisoner. It covers that. It covers the Pandora searches for the bounty for a little while. Actually, the Pandora founders on a reef. They have their own open boat voyage to Batavia, where they catch a ride back on a Dutch East Indiaman, and then it covers the trial, where they're tried for mutiny. I think 10 of them go back. I can't remember now, because some of them are drowned when the Pandora goes down. They have their trial. 3 of them are hung. The rest are acquitted. So it's the longest of the 3 books, and it is 295 pages. It's originally published in 1932, and this book, all 3 of these books, are co-authored by Nordhoff and Hall. How it is that you co-author a book, I don't know, but I know that there is a couple, a man and a woman, that do a series of books that are like a history of the world, and I've never read any of them, and, maybe I'll get around to it one of these days. Who knows? This book is not an accurate description of what happens. I pretty much have bought, anytime I see a book about the bounty, I buy it. And I've got so many now that I got to be real careful when I buy one, because I might buy something I've already bought, because the cover is not always the same. So yeah, I got to be careful. In this, I've also watched all 3 of the movies, all 3 of the good movies. In this, the surgeon who is an alcoholic. In the movie with Mel Gibson, the surgeon dies he just drinks himself to death. But in this one, he dies from eating a poisoned fish, and several of the other guys are sick also, but they recover. But the surgeon, who's in ill health, he dies. I don't have much reading to do here. Second to last paragraph on page 91. Oh, yeah, and one of the books that I read was called Mr. Bligh's Bad Language, and it's a really good book. So good that I don't think I understood large portions of it, but it's all about the relationship between the upper deck and the lower deck, and what happens when the upper deck men cross that line. And Mr. Bligh, Captain Bligh, crossed that line. some of the language he used, some of the words that he used and the things that he said just crossed that line. Not to mention, him ordering floggings and shit like that. And this is where he's bitching at Mr. Christian. The little scene had taken place before many of the ship's company, and I could see that Christian had controlled his temper with difficulty. Mr. Bligh had the unfortunate habit of making such humiliating remarks to his officers, no matter who might be within hearing. It may be said in his defense, perhaps, that, being a thick-skinned man, he had no conception of how galling such remarks could be, particularly to a man like Christian. He had called Christian an old woman, and he had also accused Christian of stealing coconuts. And he had crossed the line. This happens in 1789. And, well, the Bounty set sail in 1789. So it takes place over a couple of year period. But it always amazes me that 1789, which to me is not that long ago, humanity still knew very little of the Earth. The Pacific had not been explored. Australia was, for the most part, unexplored. There had been white men there, yes, but nobody had been to either of the poles. Everybody still thought that there was a continent at the North Pole. Just the things that have happened in the last 2,500 years, to me, are amazing. The Pandora Sinks, second paragraph, page 200. They have these guys locked in a cage, and it's only at the last minute that they let them out. 2 of them drowned. 2 or 3, I can't remember. Second paragraph. We prisoners were far too miserable to converse. We lay by the water's edge, covered by sand and longing for darkness. Now, this is after they go on the open boats and they find a little islet. And when it came, we were only a little less wretched than before. Our raging thirst and our burned and blistered bodies made sleep impossible. The following morning, the Pandora's master was sent in the pinnace to the scene of the wreck to learn whether anything else might be recovered from it. He returned with a part of the topgallant masts, which were above water, and with a cat which had been found perched on the cross trees. This poor animal was saved only to be sacrificed to the needs of shipwrecked seamen. It was cooked and eaten that same day, and a cap was made from its fur to cover the bald head of one of the officers who had lost his wig. I don't know, I always, if there's anything about a cat in these books, I always mark that passage. They don't mention anything about the cat. That's the only mention of the cat throughout the whole book. When the adventure of the Karluk, they were attempting to reach the North Pole, and I think they got squeezed by the ice. They had a cat on board the Karluk, and they had to hike across the ice, and they made it to an island. There was a hell of an ordeal on that island, but they carry that fucking cat all that way, and the cat ends up later on, somebody's caring for it, it gets pregnant, and they take the kittens, and they find other survivors from the Karluk, and they give them those kittens. Many other, I always mark the passages with the cat. Sometimes they have a cat. A lot of these people had a monkey on board the ship. And one of the books that I read about Jutland, as one of the British ships are going down, you can see the fucking monkey. He's up in the masts, going crazy, but nobody saved that monkey. I'll definitely be doing another video tomorrow because Men Against the Sea, which is the next one in the trilogy, it's only like 130 pages, something like that. Thanks for watching.